The galaxy did not fall silent because of fear alone. It fell silent because something ancient, something buried deep in collective memory, had returned. And every species that had ever watched humanity fight knew one truth. When humans arrived late, it meant mercy had already failed. Valaris Station drifted above the shattered world of Kythera, 9 like a broken crown. Fires burned across the planet's surface, glowing red through torn clouds. Millions were already dead. Millions more waited for the same end. Inside the station's command ring, Ambassador Elian Mar stood unmoving before the observation glass, his hands clasped behind his back to hide their shaking. Elian was not a soldier. He had never fired a weapon. He believed in words, treaties, and patience. But patience had died 3 cycles ago, the moment the Zirac Dominion arrived. "They're repositioning again," a voice said behind him. Fleet Marshal Rex Atal, tall and armored in silver command plating, studied the tactical holomap. The red shapes, Zirac war vessels, shifted like predators circling wounded prey. There were too many. Always too many. How many left? Elian asked quietly. Rexa did not answer at first. Then, 87 combat ships. 12 evacuation carriers. Ammunition at 30%. Elian closed his eyes. The coalition had once ruled half the spiral arm. Now they were reduced to fragments, fleeing from system to system, always one step behind extinction. The Zirac were not conquerors. They were harvesters. They did not enslave worlds. They erased them. "They'll breach the station within 2 hours," Rexa continued. "Maybe less." "Then this is where it ends," Elian said. "No," Rexa replied. "This is where we stall long enough for civilians to escape." Elian almost laughed. Escape where? Every safe system had already fallen or was burning. The Zirac advanced with terrifying efficiency, adapting faster than any enemy the galaxy had ever known. A junior officer suddenly stood. "Ambassador! Incoming encrypted transmission, priority Omega." Rexa turned sharply. "Source?" The officer swallowed. "Unidentified. Origin, outside mapped coalition space." Elian's heart skipped. There were not many things outside mapped space. "Put it through," he said. The holoscreen shimmered, then stabilized. At first, there was only darkness. Then stars appeared, familiar, yet arranged wrong. And finally, a symbol resolved at the center. A simple circle. Broken by a vertical line. Rexa inhaled sharply. "No," she whispered. "It can't be." Elian felt his blood run cold. "You recognize it." Rexa's voice was tense. "Every military academy teaches this symbol. Not as history. As warning." The screen shifted. A human appeared. Not armored. Not shouting. Just standing calmly in a dim command bridge, eyes steady, posture relaxed. He looked ordinary. Dark hair streaked with gray. A faint scar across his cheek. "This is Admiral Jonah Reed, United Human Systems," the man said evenly. "We received your distress signal." Silence swallowed the command ring. "You're real," Elian whispered before he could stop himself. The Admiral's lips twitched faintly. "We usually are." Rexa stepped forward. "This sector is under Zirac control. Human space was quarantined centuries ago. You were warned never to cross." "Your quarantine collapsed 42 years ago," Reed interrupted calmly. "You just never noticed." Elian stared. "Why now?" Reed's expression hardened. "Because the Zirac crossed a line. They attacked a human observation outpost last month." The room froze. "They killed civilians," Reed continued. "Children." Elian felt something shift in the air, like pressure before a storm. "We don't tolerate that," the Admiral said. Rexa found her voice. "If you're offering aid, understand this. Zirac fleets number in the tens of thousands. Even your legends." Reed raised a hand gently. "We're not here to fight the Zirac fleet." The Zirac warships suddenly paused on the tactical display. Every red icon stopped moving. An alarm blared. Sensors spiked across every spectrum. Gravitational surge detected, an officer shouted. Directly behind the Zirac line. Space itself bent. Stars stretched like liquid light. Reality tore open, not violently, but deliberately, like a door unlocked from the other side. And something emerged. One ship. Alone. It was vast. Black. Angular. Scarred. Not beautiful. Not elegant. Built for one purpose only. Silence spread across every channel. Even the Zirac stopped transmitting. Admiral Reed's voice returned, calm as ever. "Ambassador Ma," he said, "meet the UHS Resolute." Elian could not breathe. The human warship drifted forward, massive guns dormant, shields folded inward as if the vessel did not consider this a threat worth effort. Across the void, the Zirac fleet hesitated. For the first time since their arrival in this galaxy. They hesitated. A Zirac transmission finally broke through, harsh and clicking. Unknown vessel. Identify intent or be destroyed. Reed looked directly into the camera. "This is your only warning," he said softly. "Leave this system." The Zirac responded instantly. Thousands of weapons armed. Elian's knees weakened. "Admiral." Reed did not raise his voice. "You have 60 seconds. Missile bays opened across the Zirac formation. Time slowed. Elian realized, in that terrible, silent moment, that the legends were wrong. Humans were not monsters. Monsters acted without reason. Humans chose. And the galaxy was about to remember why it once locked them away. The first Zirac missile crossed half the distance in less than a second. It never reached the human ship. A faint shimmer bloomed around the UHS Resolute, barely visible, like heat rising from stone. The missile struck it, and vanished. Not exploded. Not deflected. Simply, gone. Space folded inward for a heartbeat, then smoothed itself out as if nothing had happened. For a full second, no one spoke. Then the Zirac fleet reacted. Thousands of missiles launched at once. Energy lances followed, burning lines of white and violet across the darkness. It was a storm meant to erase continents. A storm meant to overwhelm anything through sheer volume. The Resolute did not move. Elian Ma felt his heart pounding so hard it hurt. Every instinct screamed that the human ship should be fleeing, maneuvering, doing something. But it remained perfectly still, like a predator that did not feel the need to dodge. "Impact in 3 seconds," an officer whispered. The storm hit. Space twisted. Where the missiles converged, reality bent inward like a deep ocean trench. Light curved. Sensors overloaded. The Zirac weapons disappeared in waves, swallowed by controlled gravity wells that collapsed and reset again and again. The human shield did not glow. It did not flare. It absorbed. Rexatal stared at the readings, her voice tight. "That isn't defensive shielding. That's localized space-time manipulation." Elian turned slowly. "You mean, they aren't blocking the attack?" "No," she said. "They're deciding where reality is allowed to exist." The Zirac fleet panicked. Formations broke. Ships veered away from one another, colliding, scrambling to retreat. Their hive coordination, so perfect until now, fractured under something they had never planned for. Fear. The Resolute finally moved. Not forward. Sideways. It slid across space without visible propulsion, ignoring inertia like it was a suggestion rather than a rule. As it moved, its hull panels shifted, opening like the petals of a black metal flower. "Weapon systems charging," a human voice announced calmly over open channels. Elian realized the humans were not hiding this. They wanted the galaxy to see. A single beam fired. No explosion. No flash. One Zirac dread carrier simply ceased to be. A perfect spherical absence replaced it, stars visible through nothingness. Then even that absence collapsed, leaving empty space behind. Rexa whispered, "They deleted it." More beams followed. Each one precise. Each one final. The Zirac tried to respond, but it was no longer a battle. It was an execution. The human ship did not target the largest vessels first. It targeted command nodes, coordination hubs, signal relays. The swarm lost its mind. Ships began firing wildly, some even striking their own kind. Others attempted hyperspace jumps and failed, torn apart by unstable exits as human gravity fields interfered. "Zirac retreating," someone shouted. "They're pulling back." Elian leaned against the console, dizzy. "They're running." Rex's eyes never left the display. "No one has ever made them run." The Resolute did not pursue. Instead, it powered down its weapons and drifted back to a neutral position, as if the matter was already settled. Admiral Reed's image appeared again. "Zirac fleet," he said, voice steady. "This system is under human protection. Any vessel that remains in 60 seconds will be destroyed." The countdown appeared on every channel. The Zirac did not argue. They fled. One by one, their ships vanished into hyperspace, abandoning wreckage, wounded vessels, and their dead. Within moments, the battlefield was quiet. Truly quiet. The stars burned again, unobstructed. For the first time in weeks, no alarms wailed. Elian felt tears he did not remember earning slide down his face. "It's over," someone breathed. "No," Rexa said slowly. "It's paused." The Resolute opened a communication channel directly to Valaris Station. Admiral Reed looked tired now. "Older. Ambassador Ma," he said. "Your people are safe. For now." Elian straightened. "You saved billions of lives. We owe you everything." Reed shook his head. "You don't owe us anything." "Then why?" Elian asked. "Why intervene after centuries of silence?" Reed's gaze hardened, not with anger, but with something heavier. "Because we learned a long time ago," he said, "that if we don't stop monsters early, we become worse ones later." A pause. "We came to talk," Reed continued. "Not to conquer. Not to demand. But to offer terms." Rexa stepped forward. "Terms?" "Yes," Reed said. "An alliance." The word rippled through the command ring like a shockwave. "Humanity does not want your worlds," Reed said. "We don't want your resources. We don't want your people. We want cooperation. Intelligence sharing. And one thing in return." Elian swallowed. "What thing?" Reed leaned closer to the camera. "Permission," he said, "to finish the Zirac." Silence followed. "You mean, exterminate them?" Elian asked. "No," Reed replied. "We mean stop them. Permanently. However long that takes." Rex's jaw tightened. "And when the Zirac are gone?" Reed met her gaze without hesitation. "Then we talk about the future," he said. "Together." Elian studied the human admiral. There was no hunger in his eyes. No triumph. Only resolve. "And if we refuse?" Elian asked. Reed nodded once. "Then we leave. And you'll face the Zirac alone." That was not a threat. It was a fact. Elian closed his eyes for a brief moment, feeling the weight of history pressing down on him. Centuries of fear. Of warnings. Of locked borders and whispered legends. Then he opened them. "I will bring your offer before the coalition," he said. "But I believe I already know the answer." Reed allowed himself a small, tired smile. "So do I." The channel closed. Outside the station, the Resolute remained, silent and watchful. Elian realized something then, something that sent a chill through him. The Zirac had attacked dozens of worlds. But they had only awakened one enemy. And that enemy was patient. Across Kithra 9, the fires still burned. Even with the Zirac gone, the planet's surface looked like a wounded animal, scarred, smoking, and crying ash into the sky. On Valaris Station, crews moved through wrecked corridors, sealing hull breaches, treating the injured, carrying the dead in silence. Victory had arrived. But it had not brought peace. Ambassador Elian Ma walked through the medical bay with Fleet Marshal Rexatal at his side. The air smelled of antiseptic and burnt metal. Stretchers filled every aisle. Some wounded were wrapped in bandages. Others had lost limbs. Others stared at nothing, still listening to sounds that no longer existed. A small child sat alone on a bench, feet dangling. Their eyes were huge, unblinking. Elian paused. He crouched slowly, careful not to startle them. "Where is your family?" he asked softly. The child's mouth moved, but no words came. Just a tremble. Rexa placed a hand on Elian's shoulder and gently pulled him onward. "They've seen too much," she murmured. "We all have." As they reached the command ring again, the mood shifted. Officers spoke in low voices. The tactical display showed the Zirac fleet withdrawing beyond sensor range, but not far, like a predator stepping back into tall grass, waiting. "They didn't run very far," Rexa said. "They're watching," Elian replied. "Learning." A new report appeared on the holomap. An evacuation carrier had failed to jump cleanly. Half the ship was missing. The other half drifted, lights dead, trailing debris. Elian clenched his jaw. How many more worlds can survive this? "Not many," Rexa answered honestly. "Even with the humans here, the Zirac can hit 5 systems at once. We can't be everywhere." Elian turned toward the window. The UHS Resolute hung in the black, unmoving, like a dark moon. In its presence, the station felt smaller, older, like a relic. The door slid open. A human entered. Not a hologram. A real human, walking into their command ring as if it was not the most guarded place in the system. 2 station guards raised their weapons instinctively, then hesitated. No one had given them orders on how to treat a legend. The human wore a simple dark uniform with no medals, no gold, no intimidation. Just a small emblem, a broken circle marked by a line. Her hair was tied back. Her eyes were alert and calm. "I'm Commander Sarah Cade," she said. "Liaison officer from the Resolute. Admiral Reed requested face-to-face discussion." Elian forced himself to step forward. "Welcome aboard Valaris Station." Sarah's gaze flicked across the room, scanning exits, people, screens, threat angles. Not paranoid. Prepared. "Thank you," she said. "I'm sorry it had to be like this." Rexa crossed her arms. "Like what?" Sarah looked at her, expression steady. "Like meeting humanity at the edge of your extinction." That struck like a blade, because it was true. Elian motioned toward a private chamber. "We can speak there." Inside, the noise faded. The chamber was small, built for quiet negotiations that had once involved trade routes and resource disputes, nothing like the survival of civilizations. Sarah remained standing. Elian sat, though it felt wrong to sit when so many were dying. Rexa stayed near the doorway, arms still crossed, eyes sharp. Sarah spoke first. "The Zirac will return soon." Elian nodded. "We know." "They'll return differently," Sarah continued. "They will stop throwing mass at the problem. They will seek the weakness in our approach." Rexa's voice was cold. "And what is your approach?" Sarah's lips tightened for a moment. "Direct intervention. Disruption. Decapitation strikes." Rexa leaned forward slightly. "You made them retreat with 1 ship." "1 ship," Sarah agreed. "For 1 battle." Elian frowned. "You're saying that won't work again?" Sarah met his eyes. "It will work again. It just won't end the war." Elian swallowed. "Then what ends it?" Sarah exhaled quietly. "Humanity's advantage has never been raw strength. It's not even technology. Technology can be copied. Strength can be matched." Rexa narrowed her eyes. "Then what is it?" Sarah paused, as if choosing words the galaxy could understand. "It's adaptation," she said. "And refusal." Elian blinked. "Refusal." Sarah nodded. "Refusal to accept what everyone else accepts. Refusal to surrender to inevitability. Refusal to play by the rules that kill you." Rexa scoffed. "That sounds like pride." Sarah's eyes sharpened. "Call it what you want. We call it survival. Elian leaned back slowly. Your admiral asked for permission to finish the Zirak. That frightened my people. It should, Sarah said immediately. Because the Zirak aren't a normal enemy. They aren't a rival empire. They're a collapsing storm that turns every world into food. Rex's voice dropped. And humanity believes you can stop them. Sarah's gaze softened, just slightly. We believe we can outthink them. Elian's throat went dry. How? Sarah finally sat, resting her forearms on the table. We've been studying your data, she said. And our own. Rexa stiffened. You've been studying us. Sarah did not flinch. Yes. Just like you studied us centuries ago. We're not offended. It's what intelligent species do. Elian asked, what did you find? Sarah's answer was blunt. The Zirak are not here by accident, she said. They are not just expanding randomly. They are following a pattern. Elian felt a chill. A pattern toward what? Sarah tapped a control pad and projected a map onto the table. Dozens of systems. Burned, eaten, erased. But as lines connected them, a shape formed. Not a spiral. Not a wave. A directed path. Rexa stared. That path leads to your central worlds, Sarah confirmed. Your heart. Your population centers. Your shipyards. Your libraries. Your core. Elian's voice was barely a whisper. They're not just feeding. They're aiming. Yes, Sarah said. They're hunting your civilization's brain. Rexa clenched her jaw. Then we must fortify the core. Sarah shook her head. If you fortify, they adapt. If you flee, they chase. If you fight their way, you lose. Elian stared at the map. So what do we do? Sarah's eyes lifted, and something changed in them. It was not fear. It was anticipation. We do what humans always do, she said. We build something that shouldn't work. Then we make it work anyway. Rexa said, be specific. Sarah tapped again. A second map appeared, this one older. Human history. Roots. Outposts. Strange markers in dead space. Things the Coalition had never charted because they looked like emptiness. We have hidden shipyards, she said. Deep space fabrication rigs. Places not even your long-range arrays can see. We built them because we learned a lesson early. What lesson? Elian asked. Sarah's voice was quiet. That if the galaxy fears you, she said, you don't survive by becoming louder. You survive by becoming invisible. Elian realized then what she was implying. You want to lure the Zirak, he said. Sarah nodded. To a place they believe is your weakness. A place they believe is an easy harvest. Rexa frowned. And you intend to trap them? Yes, Sarah said. But not with conventional weapons. Elian's chest tightened. Then with what? Sarah leaned forward. With their own hunger, she said. Rex's eyes widened a fraction. Explain. Sarah's tone remained simple, but the idea behind it felt massive. The Zirak consume energy and matter, she said. They break down civilizations and feed their swarm engines. They are addicted to dense, organized worlds, shipyards, cities, reactors. Elian nodded slowly. Yes. That's what they do. Sarah continued. So we give them what they want. Elian felt the room tilt. You mean, a bait world? A bait structure, Sarah corrected. A false core. A manufactured prize. A system designed to look like the heart of your civilization. Rex's voice was harsh. We don't have time to build a fake civilization. Sarah nodded. You don't. Then she looked straight at Elian. But humans do. Elian stared. How? Sarah's answer was almost gentle. Because we don't build like you, she said. We don't need centuries. We don't need perfect harmony. We build fast. We improvise. We sacrifice elegance for function. Rexa whispered, almost unwillingly, "How fast?" Sarah did not give a number. She only said, "Fast enough." Elian exhaled shakily. "And once the Zirac arrive to consume your bait?" Sarah's eyes turned cold. "Then," she said, "we close the door behind them." Rexa stared. "A gate trap." Sarah nodded. "A controlled rupture. A gravity net that locks them into a kill zone." Elian's voice trembled. "That's impossible." Sarah leaned back, calm again. "That's what the galaxy said about our warship 10 minutes ago," she replied. Silence filled the chamber. Outside, a distant alarm sounded again, not combat, but sensors adjusting, crews moving, survival continuing. Elian looked from the map to the human commander. "If we agree," he said, "what do you need from us?" Sarah's answer came without hesitation. "Your trust," she said. Rexa scoffed. "That's expensive." Sarah met her gaze. "So is extinction." Elian's mouth went dry. In that moment, he understood the true choice. The coalition could cling to fear and die with dignity. Or it could gamble on the very species it once locked away. He spoke carefully. "I will take this plan to the Coalition Council." Sarah stood. "Do it quickly. The Zirac are already adjusting." Rex's voice lowered. "And if your plan fails?" Sarah paused at the door and glanced back, her expression unreadable. "Then at least," she said, "the galaxy will learn we didn't die quietly." She left. Elian remained seated, staring at the maps. For the first time since the Zirac invasion began, he felt something he had not dared to feel. Not relief. Not comfort. But a dangerous, burning emotion. Hope. And somewhere out beyond the station sensors, in the dark where predators waited, the Zirac were listening. Learning. Preparing. The Coalition Council chamber had never felt so small. Once, it had been a place of ceremony and careful language, where disputes were settled with measured words and tradition. Now it was filled with exhaustion. Holographic seats flickered as delegates joined from damaged worlds, refugee convoys, and hidden bunkers. Some were injured. Some spoke from ships already fleeing doomed systems. Ambassador Elian Ma stood at the center. For a moment, no one spoke. They all knew why they were here. "The Zirac retreated from Kithra 9, Elian began. "Not because we defeated them, but because humanity arrived." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Fear. Anger. Old memories resurfacing. A delegate from the Sci-Fi collective spoke sharply. Humanity was quarantined for a reason. Their wars nearly shattered interstellar law. "They nearly shattered us," another voice added. Elian raised a hand. "And yet, they are the only force that has ever made the Zirac withdraw." Silence followed. Fleet Marshal Rexatal appeared beside him as a hologram, armor scarred, eyes hard. "We do not have the luxury of pride," she said. "We have lost 17 systems in 6 cycles. At this rate, there will be no coalition left to protect." A council elder leaned forward. "And what do the humans propose?" Elian inhaled slowly. "They propose a trap. A false core system. A constructed prize designed to draw the Zirac swarm in fully." Outrage erupted instantly. "You would sacrifice an entire system. You would invite them closer to our heart. This is madness." Elian waited until the noise burned itself out. "No civilians," he said firmly. "No living worlds. The structure would be artificial. Human-built. Disposable." A pause. Rexa added, "Human engineering allows rapid construction in deep space. We have confirmed their capability." The elder's voice lowered. "And once the Zirac arrive?" Elian met every gaze in the chamber. "The humans will close the system. Seal it. And destroy the swarm from within." The chamber went quiet again. Someone whispered, "If this fails." Elian nodded. "Then we lose everything." A long silence followed. Finally, one by one, The council members began to speak, not in protest, but in weary acceptance. "We vote," the elder said. The result was not unanimous. But it was enough. Permission granted. The moment the vote passed, humanity moved. Coalition sensors barely understood what they were seeing. Human construction fleets emerged from points in space that had appeared empty seconds earlier. Massive frames unfolded like skeletal stars. Fabrication swarms, thousands of autonomous machines, poured out, assembling structures at speeds that defied conventional logic. "What are they building?" an officer whispered. Rexa watched in stunned silence. "A lie," she said. "A very convincing one." Within days, a new system appeared on Zirac long-range scans. Artificial gravity wells. Simulated planetary signatures. Energy outputs mimicking a thriving civilization at full industrial capacity. To the Zirac, it looked like a feast. To the Coalition, it looked like insanity. Commander Sarah Cade stood beside Elian aboard the Resolute, watching the final calibrations. "They'll come," she said. Elian swallowed. "And if they don't?" "They will," Sarah replied calmly. "The Zirac cannot resist abundance. Hunger defines them." As if summoned by the thought, alarms sounded. "Zirac fleet detected," an officer announced. "Massive. Larger than anything previously recorded." The swarm was not cautious this time. They came in overwhelming numbers, pouring into the false system from every vector. Thousands became tens of thousands. Entire armadas compressed into the trap, eager to consume what they believed was the Coalition's final refuge. "They're all in," Rexa whispered. "All of them." Elian felt sick. "Can your system hold?" Sarah's eyes never left the display. "It has to." The human fleets withdrew. The gate behind the Zirac closed. Space screamed. Gravity surged. Artificial stars ignited. The trap activated, locking every Zirac vessel inside a collapsing pocket of controlled reality. The swarm realized too late. Zirac ships slammed against invisible boundaries. Their engines tore themselves apart trying to escape. Their coordination fractured into chaos. And then the humans did something no one expected. They waited. "Why aren't we firing?" Elian demanded. Sarah's voice was quiet. "Because this isn't about killing ships." She gestured to the data streams. "The Zirac feed on energy, on order, on consumption. So we're giving them exactly what they want." Inside the trap, reactors flared brighter. Structures overloaded deliberately. Energy flooded the pocket. The Zirac surged forward, consuming faster and faster. Too fast. Their systems began to destabilize. Swarm engines overloaded. Coordination signals tangled and collapsed under their own weight. "They're eating themselves apart," Rexa whispered in disbelief. Sarah nodded. "They don't know how to stop." The pocket imploded. Not violently. Quietly. A controlled collapse that folded the entire swarm into itself, crushing matter, energy, and consciousness into nothing. When the light faded, the system was gone. So were the Zirac. The galaxy went silent again. But this time, it was not fear that caused it. It was disbelief. Elian sank into a chair, shaking. "It's over." Sarah closed her eyes for a brief moment. "No," she said softly. "It's finished." Messages poured in from across the Coalition. Worlds untouched. Fleets standing down. Refugees stopping their flight. The impossible had happened. Rexa turned to Elian. "What happens now?" Elian looked out at the stars, at a galaxy that had almost died, and had been saved by the species it once feared most. "Now," he said, "we decide what kind of future we deserve." Sarah watched him carefully. "The galaxy will remember this," she said. "It will remember who stood when extinction came." Elian nodded. "And who chose not to rule through fear." Sarah smiled faintly. "Good," she said. "Because humanity is tired of being a legend." The Resolute turned slowly, its massive form catching starlight. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy breathed freely. But legends, Elian realized, do not disappear. They evolve. The galaxy did not celebrate right away. 4 days after the collapse of the Xerac swarm, systems remained cautious. Fleets stayed at battle readiness. Sensors swept empty space again and again, searching for signs that the nightmare might return. Entire civilizations had learned, painfully, that hope could be dangerous. Ambassador Elian Mar stood once more before a wide observation window, this time aboard the Coalition Council's mobile capital. Outside, stars shone calmly, unchanged by the war that had nearly erased them. Behind him, the chamber doors opened. Commander Sarah Cade entered quietly. "You wanted to see me," she said. Elian turned. He looked older now. Not weakened, changed. "The Council is drafting a formal declaration," he said. "An official end to the Xerac conflict. And a proposal." Sarah raised an eyebrow. "That sounds political." "It is," Elian admitted. "And terrifying." Sarah smiled faintly. "Politics usually is." Elian gestured for her to sit. "The Coalition wishes to dissolve the quarantine on human space." Sarah's expression did not change, but her eyes sharpened. "Fully." "Yes," Elian said. "Open borders. Shared intelligence. Mutual defense. Not as overseers. Not as weapons." He met her gaze. "As equals." Silence followed. Sarah leaned back slightly, studying him. 2 centuries ago, your people decided humanity was too unpredictable to exist freely." Elian nodded. "We were wrong." "You feared what you didn't understand," she continued. "Yes." "And now?" Sarah asked. "What do you fear now?" Elian did not answer immediately. He turned back to the stars. "Now," he said slowly, "we fear a galaxy without you." Sarah exhaled quietly. "That's a dangerous way to think." Elian faced her again. "We know. That's why this alliance terrifies us. Because it requires trust. Real trust." Sarah stood. "Then let me be clear," she said. "Humanity does not want to rule the galaxy. We tried empires once, on our own world. It nearly destroyed us." Elian listened carefully. "We want something simpler," Sarah continued. "A future where extinction isn't the default ending. Where curiosity isn't punished. Where strength exists to protect, not dominate." Elian smiled weakly. "You're asking us to believe humanity has changed." Sarah shook her head. "No. I'm asking you to accept that we haven't." She stepped closer. "Humans are still dangerous. Still emotional. Still capable of terrible things." Elian's smile faded. "But," Sarah said softly, "we choose where that danger points." Outside, a small formation of ships passed through the window's view, human vessels flying beside Coalition craft. Not leading. Not following. Together. "Your warship," Elian said. "The Resolute. Many now call it the most powerful ship ever built." Sarah glanced at the stars. "It's not." Elian looked surprised. "It isn't." Sarah shook her head. "The Resolute is just steel and ideas. The real power is something else." "What?" Elian asked. Sarah turned back to him. "The moment the galaxy went silent," she said. "Not because it was afraid of us, but because it was listening." Elian felt a chill. In the weeks that followed, stories spread faster than official declarations ever could. Children on distant worlds acted out the arrival of the human warship using bits of scrap. Scholars rewrote textbooks that had once labeled humanity as an unstable anomaly. Refugees returned home to planets that still stood, whispering a single phrase in a dozen languages. The humans came. On Earth, Admiral Jonah Reed stood alone in a quiet observation hall. He watched stars drift past, hands clasped behind his back. "They're calling us saviors," an officer said behind him. Reed did not turn. "They shouldn't. They're also calling us monsters." Reed allowed himself a small, tired smile. That one's closer to the truth. The officer hesitated. Do you regret answering the signal? Reed thought of burning worlds, of children saved, of a galaxy that had nearly learned silence forever. No, he said. I regret that it took extinction to make us speak. Far away, in systems untouched by war, young civilizations looked up at the stars with new questions. Not just what lived out there, but who would come if we cried for help. And the answer, now, was no longer uncertain. The galaxy had learned something fundamental. Humanity was not the strongest species. It was not the smartest. It was not the most peaceful. But when the universe pushed life to the edge, humans pushed back. Not because they were chosen. Not because they were perfect. But because they refused to accept a future where everything ended quietly. The stars continued to burn. And this time, they did not hold their breath.